All right, we are going live in all the places online because I am super duper excited to be here for what I think is going to be an absolutely fantastic interview. Okay, we are live in all the places. So I am here today with one of our clients, an amazing human being that I've come to know and love, named Cory Wagner, and we're going to be sharing his story of hope to inspire other folks, because a lot of people don't realize that this type of coaching, this type of mentorship is available to them. And so we want to tell those stories, because a lot of times in our private community, which is called Loving Without Boundaries on Facebook, Healthy Open Relationships and Lifestyle Freedom, folks are telling about all the problems and the issues that they're having, which is normal. That's absolutely normal. And we want to counterbalance that with some stories of inspiration and hope. And that can look very different in different situations. And that's some of the things that Cory will be telling us about here, because there's lots of different ways to have success by looking at your boundaries and living your most authentic life, and learning how to navigate all the ups and downs that go along with this journey. So I just want to say a big welcome, a big thank you, Cory, for taking time out of your very busy day to be able to be here to speak with us today. And I'd love it if you do a short introduction, just telling us a little bit about yourself.
All right, all right. Yeah, my name is Cory, and I am from the middle of nowhere in Wyoming, a little mountain town, and came to reside in Houston, Texas. And I guess I was in a marriage, an open marriage, and was having issues, and I had read Kitty's book 2 years ago, and it had helped me out tremendously. And I was back there in the spot where I needed it. And I realized by going to the website that I could get coaching, and I signed up.
That's so beautiful. Yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah. And for anyone who's listening who's not familiar with my book, it's called Jealousy Survival Guide: How to Feel Safe, Happy, and Secure in Open Relationship. And I actually wrote it a number of years ago, but everything that I wrote back then is still kind of a very foundational piece to the work that we do together. And so I'm incredibly delighted, Cory, that you were able to find my work back then and it helped you, and to realize, like, hey, maybe more help is available. So that says a lot about you and your desire for growth, and getting the right support and finding the best professional or mentor for you based on you where you were at, and also following your intuition, following your nose. And I honor that. So
Definitely.
I'd love to ask, so when you reached out, where were you on your journey? Like, what were some of the challenges? What were some of the things that you were struggling with at that time?
Uh, I should just start by trying to list out the things I wasn't struggling with. It was bad. It was bad. Gosh, self-esteem, self-worth was just in the tank, and there was, jealousy that was underlying things, just old wounds that I didn't heal, and there was a lot to do with not feeling like I had a partner that was there, and kind of getting to the point where everything was just felt like it was kind of caving in on. I just didn't have any sense of value worth. I wasn't able to establish or defend a boundary at all, and was not the powerful person that I actually am, and kind of a shell of a human. That's pretty much where I
Wow. Yeah. Wow. And I can definitely attest to that. I was just telling you yesterday on one of our coaching calls that you are like 1,000% different than when I first met you, because I could tell that you were, in your words, a shell of a human being, just, and that your confidence was not where I knew it could be. You were kind of stuttering,
Oh my
there
God.
was kind of like visible signs. I mean, it's night and day if you watch that first video,
Oh yeah.
night and
Oh
day.
yeah.
I was like, where is this? His dude is handsome. Like, where is his confidence? It's in the tank. Yeah.
I mean, it was so bizarre, and it really did feel like I was a completely different person. But I knew that I was in there somewhere. I just had no idea how to get it out and what that would look like for my relationship at that point. And I really had to focus in and be the dad I can be and be like, whatever you got to do, you do this so that you're doing it for your daughter first. You know, you're
Mhm.
doing it for yourself first. I mean, I really was doing it for myself because I was miserable. But in essence, I can now be the best father that I can be because I'm the best me I can be.
Wow.
It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
night
And
and day.
that's really clear that part of your, what we call your superhero identity or your best self, that fuel that was keeping you going was being a really fantastic dad to your daughter. Yeah.
Yeah,
And for
definitely.
our audience members who don't know you or anyone who's listening, what was, where were you at relationship wise, right around the time that you first reached out to me?
Yeah, good point. So we were separated and had been separated since early September. We had a big blow up, and she left with my daughter to go live with the couple that we had a 10-year relationship with, and it was very difficult in isolation to like handle anything. And we've done couples counseling or relationship therapy for like 5 years, 6 years, and it's nothing. There was no movement. And
Mm.
it was just a point of frustration of like, well, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with, why aren't we getting any progress? This is frustration on both our parts. And we had a complication that like our mutual best friend and my business partner had died suddenly in my house. And there was a lot of guilt, blame, but just trauma.
Mm.
And after that, we didn't have that buffer between us, that person that kind of still was
Oh,
able to talk sense between us, the catalyst, and it was imploding pretty quickly. And so my business was really suffering, and I just hit a point where I just kind of was done. And then I remembered you, and I went to
wow.
the site, and I was like, oh my God, she does coaching. I had no idea. I've been getting emails for years. I
Mhm.
didn't even realize it. And so I signed us right then. So yeah,
Wow, that is so, so incredible. And I'm honored that you remembered me. And on my journey, because it has been a journey to, I've been doing this work for about a decade, but it's been a growing way that I've been reaching out to people. And I did update the book to say that at the very end, like if you're wanting coaching, feel free to reach out, but you may have never downloaded the update.
no,
If
probably
you had
didn't.
it, did you
I
have it
have
on
the
Kindle
old, I had
or?
it on, I had it on audiobook, and I had like a really dog-eared copy that I had notes written all over and stuff like that. So uh,
Oh,
I'm sure I didn't update that. I
right,
needed the
which makes
notes.
sense. Yeah, I don't
Yeah, yeah,
normally update my books like that. Yeah,
yeah.
so that makes sense. But I'm so glad that you remembered me and went to the website. That's really, really awesome. Yeah. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah. And so I'd love to explore just a little bit more. You said that you and your partner did therapy for 5 to 6 years, and it's interesting to me because I hear that all the time that sometimes people have been in couples talk therapy or counseling for years, sometimes even decades. And to me, I think it's interesting because I feel like the definition of insanity, right, is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. What two questions. Why do you think you both kept doing that, going to couples therapy, even though it wasn't really working? And why do you think maybe that it wasn't for you?
Well, we went to two different therapists. The first one, the guy, it created a lot of conflict between us. Like we were fighting even more. But I think his point of view was trying to get to what is the actual argument, because it was like the other minor arguments are really related to the big one. So he was just trying to figure out what the big one was. And it was with that therapist that I ended up, that's when I found your book, and that's when I had the breakthrough. And
Mhm.
then, we had the loss and the trauma, and in the middle of all that, then my partner, she switched over to a different therapist, and the previous therapist felt like we were really close to a breakthrough,
Mhm.
and he warned me that this might be somebody not willing to accept responsibility for their part. And so when we went to the new therapist, I downloaded on him and tried to get him updated. And then it was all just kind of like little nuts and bolts, like daily stuff of how you talk. And so we got some, there was some good that came out of it, but really overall, I needed to like have this personal transformation and get to this
Mm,
place of strength and not be in that kind of codependent place
mm,
where I was taking responsibility for her stuff and probably she mine, and needed to like get healthy myself and then be able to tackle the issues in the relationship that were the core issues that I can see so clearly now. But back then I was, it was like being in a fog. Every day was a
mm,
fog.
mm.
And now I have clarity. And that was like, God, I think it was, that was the first call after the new year. You asked what was going to be our word for this year. And I was like, 2025 is about clarity. And then within a
Ooh.
month, I got it. And that wasn't the clarity I wanted. But it's what I got. But I look at it now as a gift, and how I am, where I am, what I'm doing, is really for the good of my life and for at least the life of my child, and hopefully for the life of my partner too. She doesn't really engage with me anymore, so it's really just trying to find that balance and look at everything with gratitude, no matter how crappy the thing looks at first.
Mm.
And really understand that you have to be grateful for those things that are challenging because they provide opportunities.
Yeah, so beautiful, and just really shows how much you dove in and really absorbed all the work that we do, because it starts from the inside out. And I'm glad that you went on that journey, starting with your partner, but continued to do the work on yourself as well. So I love to ask this question because I think it's really interesting. What perhaps was any underlying issue underneath that maybe either no one really knew about, maybe even including perhaps yourself at the beginning, that kind of got revealed through the work that we did?
I think there was a lot of grievances that had built up, and the main one started. It was like so long ago. It was it was an act of infidelity that was kind of rationalized and put on me as like, this is me trying to be controlling, when really that's not what it was. And it was more that, not that I needed to like get a sorry or an apology. I needed to like forgive myself for not defending that boundary better, and
Mm,
saying that's not okay. And now there has to be some sort of, I don't want to say repercussions, but there has to be some sort of growth that happens from this, because otherwise it just, that's what festered, at least on my side, for years. And
mm.
that was probably the biggest thing for me to realize, is all the anger and resentment really came directly out of that.
Wow, and that was in some way your partner had some infidelity, and you didn't defend the boundary around that.
Exactly. It was rationalized as, well, we do this thing together, so why is it different if I do it apart from you? And I was like, well, you didn't talk to me about it, and that wasn't, our agreement at that point.
Mm,
I was like, that's where the problem is like the communication.
mm,
That there needs to be communication about these things. And that was difficult for me because I had a previous marriage where there was infidelity, and that was kind of the nexus for me of even starting with the opening up of the marriage. Was like, I just want this to be out in front of me. I want to be able to discuss it. I want there to be a conversation. That's really what it is like not having something being done behind your back that feels dirty and shameful.
Thank you for sharing that so vulnerably, and I'm sure a lot of people that are listening can relate to that. So I appreciate your courage in sharing that here. What would you say are some of the things you already mentioned, the 5 to 6 years of therapy, but is there anything else that you tried prior to joining our Jealousy Survival Guide coaching program, outside of what you already shared? And I know also you read my book. Was there anything else that you had tried?
There was, I mean, I am kind of uh, I'm a fan of several authors, Esther Perel being one of them, and try some of the things that she writes about in her books to try to create connectedness was something that I was constantly doing. But I think there just came a point at which I realized that no matter what I was doing, I was always just kind of met with antagonism. Like it was an automatic no. So I started out to do like things in reverse psychology to make turn that no into a yes by figuring out how to present it. And I was now I'm like, why would you do that? Why would you have to do that? You know, that's what seems ridiculous now. But I tried all kinds of things. I mean, truly. Um, but a lot of it was just trying to create moments of intimacy, moments of like quality time, and trying to figure out what was going on in my head and how I felt, so that you know we could come to the table at couples therapy and really get more value out of that.
Mhm. Mhm. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I love Esther Perel's work too, so that's really cool. And I hear some of the frustration is you were trying this, you were trying that, are really giving it your all, and you still just weren't really seeing it move the needle in any way. So, um, and you already shared how you originally found my work through my book. Actually, I'm curious, how did you even find my book? Do you remember?
It was research, Googling and like finding different books on Amazon was just I probably ordered like 4 or 5 of them because I was at the breaking point
Mm,
at that particular juncture, and I was just like I felt like I couldn't do it anymore, and I was just desperate. And when through the meditation and having done like the core values work, I just had a breakthrough. It was just one day, something I just started bawling in the middle of it. And
wow.
then I just felt light. There was a lightness to it. And I kind of tingled and floated a little bit. And then it just grew from there. It was a weird thing that just got unlocked somewhere in there.
Wow. That so gets me in the feels. I mean, for anybody who's ever attempted to write a book or writes a book, I mean, that's what you're hoping to achieve. If you touch one person's heart, one person's soul, and they have a breakthrough like that means everything. So to hear you say that now just really means so much to me. And then that you remembered me and reached out later. Wow, that's really awesome. So before you joined our coaching program, was there any skepticism that you had, or even perhaps that your partner had, right before you were about to embark on that, or maybe around the time we had our first conversation?
So I had 1,000% like I knew that this was the thing that was gonna work. I just knew it. I didn't know how that was gonna look in the end.
Mm,
But I had full confidence. Uh, I think that because I was the one who had initiated it and brought it to the table, um, as I mentioned before, just anything that I brought was not going to be really taken for its value. And I think that's unfortunately what happened there is like with the couples therapy, it was her idea to start that.
mm,
So that was an okay thing. Um, there's no way I could have like created the thought in her um, to to tell me to go to your program. You know what I mean? Like there was no intrinsic value for her to do that, and so that was kind of really the thing was like, unfortunately, I was the one that had to initiate it, and so when she did none of it, it wasn't a total surprise.
mm. And so, what would you say her skepticism was, that from your understanding, or maybe things that happened?
Oh, I mean, I think that's just anything that I brought to the table would be an automatic, like immediate no, without even like looking at the thing first. She
Mm,
said she was going to be willing to do it, and there was an expense to it, and it surprised me she did none of it. Given that the value and the money, I was like, why not? But in the end, it doesn't surprise me because of that real basic tenet that
mm,
anything that I'm bringing should be suspect. And I'm like, well, that's a bigger issue for you than that's you, not me.
mm,
I'm
mm.
trying here. I'm putting it in.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Thanks for sharing that so vulnerably. And that's normal. Sadly, normal that sometimes when two people come to do the work, one person really dives in and does the work, and the other one doesn't, and that can be very, very telling about how the process is going to go. And we often say, "Bring the data, not the drama." So you were kind of collecting data, just kind of watching what was unfolding. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was definitely difficult, and it was around the holidays that it was just like it came to a head, and I realized, and I kind of had a PTSD experience because my first marriage had ended at Christmas. I bet pretty much every relationship that was significant in my life ended at Christmas. So it was like this really crazy just thing that happened, and it took me a little while to recover from that. But then it was like I had clarity, it was like it
Mm.
started, like the fog started clearing. I started seeing things, and I I knew the path at that point.
Wow, amazing. And I love how much because Christmas, of course, is at the end of the year, and you chose the word clarity for the year, and boom, you set that intention, and then you started to get clarity. So inspiring for me, and I'm sure a lot of people listening. So we embarked on about a 10-week journey or so together. Can you remember what were some of the amazing or immediate results that you achieved in the first few weeks, or even more than just the first few weeks? Does anything come to mind that you'd love to
Yeah,
share?
definitely. I had let my mindfulness and meditation practice just kind of go because when I was in that post trauma of losing the friend, like it just stopped working. It stopped working, and my brain was just in a fog. It was just nothing was keeping me where I needed to be. Um, and so getting back to that and not having it be associated simply with my partner, which was the problem before, was I had to like channel it to like really have it feel inside like that's what then I could grow.
Mhm.
um, that it then, once it became centered on me and I could be my own generator of that love, and where I felt that good, then we were all, I took off, and it was like I could feel it. I think I texted you or emailed you. I was like, dude, it's back. I'm on.
You did. We were in close communication. That was really, really awesome. Um, and anything else come to mind? Any other like big shifts that you saw in the early part? Like I think boundary setting was also an integral part of the work that we did.
Yeah, no, that was like I did that module twice. I
Mhm.
did it once, and I was like, I probably screwed that up. So I'm gonna go back and do it again. Really just like really nail that, because I was like, I know this is important. I know this is where I go from being up here where I am now to down there, is because I don't really just intrinsically defend boundaries.
Yeah.
I can define them. Defending them is a little harder,
Mhm.
and so that's what I had to really work on. And it's become very disconcerting to her when I do.
Mhm.
She's not used to it.
Yeah.
So
That's pretty normal too. That a lot of people, we typically the average person hasn't been taught healthy boundaries growing up, and a lot of times we're taught to have really crappy boundaries or none at all. And so then when we go to start creating them and enforcing them, it's typical that we might get a lot of pushback, like, "Whoa, what's this? I don't like this," you know.
yeah,
So that's really interesting, and it can be a tell about if things are going to work out or not, if people kind of go through that journey together or not.
yeah, because I really felt like being able to just take responsibility for my actions, even when they were bad, really own them, and take responsibility for my feelings. But then I didn't have to carry the weight of somebody else and like continue to try to read somebody's mind, um, and doing those things and just being like, no, I can't tell that. I don't live inside your head. But I'm happy to provide whatever support you need right now if you just communicate that with.
Mhm.
And that was the first big blow up. But it's like, but that's where you have to start. That's where you have to start.
Yeah,
So hard lessons to learn, I suppose.
yeah. Thanks for sharing that. And also with the process that I take people through, as you know, is a very immersive process. There's the educational component, there's one-on-one coaching where I'm giving you communication tools, and I want to come back to that too. And also the group calls where you're alongside other people who are shoulder to shoulder on a similar journey. And I'd love to ask what your experience was on being on our group. We call them group Q&A calls, and we also have guest speakers. What was that process like for you, and how did that benefit you or not benefit you?
like I lived for the group calls, and there were times where wasn't focusing enough on the modules because of what the group calls, what I was learning there.
Mm,
And a big part of that was seeing people that were going through the same struggles I was, with a partner on the call, and seeing how they resolved it, and also seeing how they treated each other, and how, even though they were having an issue, they were treating each other with kindness and compassion, empathy, respect, the things that I wasn't experiencing. And I
mm,
saw that and I was like, well, even when we are having these problems, this is the way I need to be demanding to be treated like that.
mm.
That was a huge lesson for me. And I connected with some of those people that live in the area where I am in Houston. And like I go tell them that, and I hang out with them. So I'm like, you guys taught me a lot about what I need to demand in my relationships, and that's big. That's big.
Mm.
Again, that's kind of a boundary right there. What do I need? That's my needs, but then that's my limit, that bare minimums.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
important.
exactly. And one thing we like to say is that from a place of empowerment, because in coaching, we want to empower you by giving you tools and helping you build your own self love and self confidence. And we often say to remember that we teach other people how to treat us, which is important because then it puts that power in your hands to change the dance steps. And even whatever the repercussions are of you changing the dance steps, you're collecting that data, and also to help you give yourself permission to raise your standards of, like you said, what your bare minimum is. And then
Definitely.
also like go to other heights, if you want to continue that journey to go to higher and higher levels, why not have the most blissful and amazing and flipping awesome life that you possibly can? So I really honor you
Yeah,
doing that work.
definitely. I'm such a nerd about it now. It's like I just have YouTube videos on of like interviews with influential people, or just like watch Brene Brown as much as you can. It's like just having it on the background and having it surround you. It just creates an environment where you're always thinking about what's the next opportunity, what's the next thing that I can work on, I can grow into. I
Yeah.
think it's important.
Yeah. And of course, you're continuing your coaching journey with us, which I'm super duper excited in our program that we call the Momentum Program, so that again you can keep up leveling. I view it like a video game that there is just like Pac-Man. You can just keep going at different and different levels and keep powering up
Yes.
with our coaching journey. So that's awesome. I want to go back to something. I know that your partner didn't show up to do the work, say in the modules or on any of the group Q&A coaching calls, but she did show up on a couple of the calls where we went through some communication tools. I'm curious, what was different about when you were back in traditional couples therapy and those conversations versus the conversations that we had together within our coaching framework when I was guiding you through some coaching communication tools?
I'd love to tell you, but she's ghosted me on every single one of those. And so we have not yet had a single, like, I have one scheduled for tomorrow, and I'm sure she's not going to
Oh,
show
I
up.
meant when you and I and she
Oh,
were
oh,
on
oh,
the
yeah.
calls.
Oh, you did. Okay, yeah. Oh, that was powerful. Like, that was the first time I think she'd ever really heard me in probably a decade. I mean, it's been a while. And like, and she got to unload at least some of the grievance that she had around one particular issue, and I got to understand how deeply it like affected her, and that was like really important and powerful.
Mhm.
But the bigger thing is that she finally heard me. Like, she heard, and I saw it just like hit her, like, oh, there was that moment, which then didn't turn into anything after that. But
Mhm.
she had to, at least, she can't ignore or not know that that is there, and that's a part of who I am, and that she has not been who she needed, or who I needed her to be. Put it that way.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, they were really some. I really, it's an honor and a privilege to be able to go through some of the advanced communication tools that I give you, and it can be a completely new experience for a lot of people because, as you know, there's really one person's kind of doing the sharing, and the other one's holding the space. And when it goes off track, I'm there to kind of get you back on track. So it's a way that I'm helping make sure those guardrails are there to make sure everybody feels safe. And I'm really glad that I was able to walk you through some of those conversations, even though you're not using them together, the two of you, into the future. But I like to say that I'm not giving you a fish, I'm teaching you how to fish, so that you
Yes,
can have those type of conversations in the future with other partners where you are feeling more compatible in your values and the future that you want to build together. So,
absolutely. Yeah, and those things, it really did give me a lot of clarity on what I would be looking for, and it's like almost immediate that I sense it, I can intuit it very quickly. Um, but yeah, that those tools, like I sent those tools to our couples therapist, and I was like, if we're gonna have conversations, these are tools that are probably gonna make our conversations more productive. So we should
mm.
start using these.
Oh wow, I'm curious, what did the therapist say?
He was like, this is really good. And I kind of went through it that there's, a different basis in each one of where it comes from, like the nonviolent communication.
Mm.
And I don't remember the other one, but it's like a
Imago
or
dialogue,
come
yeah.
on, there we go. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So he knew what they were, and he's like, okay, yeah, we can definitely use these. And then I mean, it still requires somebody to show up. And that
Right.
was when I shared with him the reel that you had sent to me after I was like realizing that she didn't show up. Like, that
Mm.
thing of it takes two people to show up and invest for it to even be a relationship.
Mhm. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Really powerful. So I really just want to honor you for everything you've been sharing so far and so vulnerably. So I'd love to ask you if you could tell us where you find yourself today on your journey, like kind of like your ultimate results so far, or your outcome from all of the beautiful work that you showed up to do.
I'm my best me I can be today. And I feel great. And it's kind of like a weird thing when I take a little moment for reflection and realize the chaos that's there and how good I feel, because I know that it's a challenge, but it's also an opportunity. And I can really rise to this occasion. I can courageously do this stuff, and I have the support that I need now. I have a community behind me, and I'm not afraid. I know it's not going to be easy, and I know that in the future, because of the things that I've learned and the person I've become, the my partner or partners, like I'm not going to be in that situation ever again. I'm going to be in a situation that I'm going to have that person at least meet my bare minimum requirements and more than likely exceed them, because I am that person that will be exceeding theirs. And
Wow. That's
you get,
amazing. That's
yeah,
amazing.
you get what you give.
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing. Well, I am deeply proud of you, and I'd
Like
love to kind of put you on the spot here and ask you, what would you say are some of the things that you're most proud about yourself in going on this journey, and where you've gotten yourself to now?
most proud, man. The mindfulness practice, getting back is I'm very proud of that. It's been a funky, cool journey, and I'm still going to develop that further. Just having this sense of self-love and open-mindedness to be able to see everything as an opportunity instead of a problem, to be very positive about pretty much everything, even if it is challenging, and knowing that as I've started doing some of the manifestation stuff in my life, things are just kind of appearing, and I'm grasping them and going hard at making my life the best possible life I can have.
Mm.
And that it could have been with her, but the important thing is that I'm still gonna have that. It's not. I don't have that limiting belief anymore that I need to like do this thing. It's like no, my life can be anything, and it's gonna be amazing, and I'm gonna make it. So you know.
Yes, yes, that's an empowered person talking right there. Yeah. So incredibly, incredibly proud of you, and delighted that you're giving it back, paying it forward by doing this interview right now. So beautiful. I believe in karma, so
Yes,
like you said, what you get, you give, or what you give, you get back. So that law of reciprocity. So
absolutely.
yeah, absolutely. So I'd love to ask, would you recommend the Creating Happy, Healthy, Open Relationships Jealousy Survival Guide coaching program, and as well as investing in yourself in a coaching program? Would you recommend this to other people?
I already am.
And
That's already happening. That's already
uh,
happening. So as I put myself out there to um, grow my friend group, to also just meet new people that would be even potential partners, I'm almost immediately already coaching them just from the information that I gained in this program. So I'm already doing it, and I'm like, I really do need to get on getting certified and like, dude, I'm not a pro, but I'm like, I'm already doing it because it was so profound for me.
wow, I talk about paying it forward and giving back. That is really, really incredible. And I feel like there aren't enough really caring, amazing, skilled, and thoughtful coaches serving this particular market who are actually, practicing some form of consensual non-monogamy themselves. So thank you on behalf of the whole community for this interview, as well as your desire to want to give back to the community by sharing some of these skills someday in your own way, whether it's possibly part of our team or in some other amazing way. So and I just want to thank you again for your time that you've donated today to be here in this interview, and your wisdom that you've been sharing with everybody here. And I guess if there's one piece of advice or wisdom that you want to give anybody who's listening from your own journey, which, by the way, I mean, you've created this complete transformation for those who are listening, literally in the matter of about 2.5 months or so, 3 months maybe tops. So this complete transformation in 3 months. So any words of wisdom that you want to drop, knowledge that you want to drop?
Yeah, absolutely. If you throw yourself entirely into this, you will see the rewards, even if you don't understand what those rewards are going to be. I'm proof. And I tell anyone I can that doing a coaching program, even if it's somebody that isn't looking for, something within poly, go find your coaching program for you. But if this is the thing you need, I recommend Kitty. So it was like, come on. Uh, so it worked for me. Just do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it really is a whole immersive process, because we didn't talk too much about it, but I'm the lead coach, but there are other coaches on the team. There are guest speakers. And I know at least one of the guest speakers, on Ask a Dude, my husband,
Yeah,
you absolutely loved.
yeah,
That
that's my dude.
Yeah, exactly. That's your food. And that added another like magical element that's very, very different than traditional talk therapy or counseling, and partly
Yeah.
the magic that really happens on those calls. So well, thank you. So to help again pay it forward for other people, I'm putting a link on the screen here in case anyone else is looking to find the right mentor, the right coach, the right process for them. You've gotten here a beautiful story, a success story to give you hope and inspiration from amazing Cory here. So if you'd like to just simply have a conversation, this link here just helps you book a free breakthrough session. There's no cost for that call, no obligation. We'll just simply have an honest conversation. So that link there is lovingwithoutboundaries.com/apply. It simply just takes you right into my calendar, and then there'll be a brief intake form for you to fill out that just sets us up for success on that conversation. That's exactly what Cory and his partner did back in, I guess it was December, and that led to this complete transformation that Cory has gotten to experience, that increased his self-worth, his self-love, getting healthy habits in place, learning how to set healthy boundaries, advanced communication tools that can literally change everything. So if you want to explore that avenue and see if that's the right fit for you, just go to that link, lovingwithoutboundaries.com/apply. And I would be delighted to speak with you and or your partners who might want to go on that journey alongside you. And no matter what you're going to learn some valuable tools that help through the lens of that consensual non-monogamy and polyamory can absolutely be very healthy. And there is a pathway to do that. And everything that you learn ripples out into other relationships like parenting, like business relationships, because remember, you're building your own inner strength and confidence from the inside out. And that positively affects everything in your life, whether you stay in the initial relationship that you came, that you were concerned about when you potentially join this process or not. And by the way, we also do have people who aren't particularly in a relationship right now, but they are looking to live their most authentic life. Sometimes we do work with people who are on the other side of divorce and maybe they've lost their confidence and they want to get their mojo back. So we help people all across the spectrum who are looking to live their most authentic life, free from jealousy and insecurity, shame and guilt, or the pain of past infidelity that needs to be restored in the open relationship and sex positivity space so that you feel unstoppable and fall back in love with yourself. And who wouldn't want that? So again, I just want to thank you, Cory, for the time that you took here and sharing your story so vulnerably. It's really a gift that you're giving to everyone who listens.
Yeah, I would just say anybody watching this, invest in yourself. Invest in yourself, and this is a very good program to do that with. So.
Thank you, Cory. Thank you, Cory. So with that, we'll sign off here, and I hope everyone has a beautiful day and a great week, and we'll see you on our next video. Okay, take care. Bye for now.